So now we're going to record. So today's call, this is our August 2024 monthly call, and I was asked to present on the psychology of pricing. How do
Uh-huh.
we price our services? How do we price our products? It could have passed 7 now, so we're going to get, straight in. I'm going to hopefully do this for us in about 15 to 20 minutes. Let me just put my timer out and then basically be able to time myself very, very quickly for us. So timer, there we are. Now
Are
for
you
our,
sharing your screen?
yes, I will share my screen
Okay,
as
I can see it.
go back up here. Right, so screen share. There we are. I don't think there's any sound, but let me know.
Yep, I can see it. I
Can
got the pricing. Yeah.
you can still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start my timer for us.
Cool.
So 20 start. Okay. Now, for any of us, in order to price any of our products, there's specific keys that we need to remember. I've been in business with my husband for the last 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
We run an actual bricks and mortar business. So obviously, when it comes to pricing a bricks and mortar business, there's different components that goes into that, as opposed to when you run a service-based or a digital-based um, or product basis, service product, or digital based businesses. Now, these are the four things that always, irrespective of whether it's a bricks and mortar, whether it's a service or a cloud-based business, you first of all have to think about, okay, I'm going to price, let's say I'm going to produce a piece of clothing, right? Who is going to do that? So the people, do I have a team that, are involved in the process? How many of those do I need to provide any training? I guess with John Maxwell, it's more, we're coaching, mentoring, training, speaking, etc., as opposed to an actual bricks and mortar. Although maybe some of us might have, let's say, a training school where, people physically come or people will
Mm.
virtually or digitally come to that. But still, there are people involved, there's training involved. So you have to be able to have a solid overview, everything in terms of the numbers and how many people,
Mm.
what is the cost involved in terms of whether it's hiring those people or whether they're permanent staff, employing those people. When you're employing somebody, you'd have to think, here in the UK, you got to think about the pension, you got to think about national insurance contribution, employer contribution, annual leave, sick leave, all of those things are numbers that you have to have in hand. Again, training. Do you have to provide any training for them? And then you culminate, you have to add the cost of all of those to it. Delivery and distribution. How am I going to deliver the service? How am I going to distribute this? What is it going to cost? Who's involved? All of those things. You have to have the numbers on all of those. Now, measurement in terms of how am I actually going to track? Okay, fine. How many people came? How many people did we sell to? How many times did they buy? All of those things, whether it's software that you're using to
Mm.
measure these things or a human being that is actually responsible for that, you've got to have the number as well. If it's software, what is it costing me to, have that software, have whether it's yearly, annually, whatever it is, you have to have that. Systems and technology. What am I actually using? If it's a bricks and mortar, okay, maybe it's the management system or software that I use. In most of John Maxwell, you have Zoom, you may have what do you call it? landing pages, you may have a designer, you may have all of those things. Technology, you have to add all of those because oftentimes we just look at what somebody else is doing, stick our hand and then price it because I want somebody to choose me. No, your business and my business are different. The systems I might be using or technology I might be using in my business may cost well more than yours, or yours might cost more than. So you have to have all of those in hand. And then as maybe you or the people, how long does it take? Is it an hour it takes me to deliver? We know if you're going to speak, it's not just the 45 minutes speaking, it's the training, the preparation, all of those things. Maybe it's getting yourself there or showing yourself, showing up. I've given time away from my family. I'm here. So all of those needs to be factored in to then have an understanding. Okay, fine. Before I'm even selling that or before I'm even showing up, this is my cost. You've got to have those in mind. So these are four very, very important things to remember before you get started, in terms of before maybe the clothing is actually produced or manufactured, or before you show up to do your speaking or your training or all of those things. You have to have all these figures available. You also have to think about your customer psychology. So who am I selling to, right? Even things like your customers being right-handed versus left-handed all matter, because it matters then how you prepare, for example, your sales page, your website, your landing pages, your pricing page, all of that matter. You've got to understand, who do I sell to? Is it everybody, or is it specific, person in mind? So you call it your avatar, or your customer, your ideal customer. So you have to understand that.
I call it my Lisa.
Your
Lisa.
Lisa, yeah. So you have to have a very good understanding of who your customer is and what is it that motivates them as far as when it comes to buying or transacting with you, right?
Mhm.
You also have to think about sales and your sales psychology and sales. Let me just pull my notes and read the exact definition.
Are you changing the slide or is the same?
It is changing.
No,
Have you been
no, no,
changing?
no, it never changed. It's the first one only.
It never changed. Okay, let me just go back
Yep.
and
So it's the
go.
same, the first slide.
Zoom.
Yep. So do you do that, Dr. Tina, if I may ask, do you do that manually, or do you have a system like to plug the numbers and work on formulas,
Sorry, system for
pricing?
the
When you
price. Yeah,
price your product, do you have like a system, or you do it like an Excel sheet or formula or like manual?
you would normally have a system. So for my clients and for myself in my business, we have a dashboard for the
Mm.
whole year. And the dashboard is then broken down into every 12 weeks. It's then broken
Mm.
down to every week. So whether I'm physically at the clinic or I'm here, my team are trained and they know how to plug in all the numbers. So if it's a different supplier that we're going to use for something different, maybe a stock, whatever it is, they know how to plug all of those. So as a business in our bricks and mortar, we understand every single thing it goes into pricing or cost has a number attached to it.
Okay,
Um,
thank you. Yeah.
has it changed?
Yeah. Now the sales psychology.
Okay.
Can see the slide. Yeah.
Has that changed?
Yeah. Customer psychology now.
Okay. And this has changed,
People
right?
in education, delivery, distribution, measurements, systems, and technology.
Okay. So that's the four key things you've got to have
Mhm.
as far as before you start pricing or before you start looking at your competitors, because before you by for all you know, your competitors already know all of the numbers involved in these four key
Mhm.
components. You've got to understand your customer. Who am I selling to? What motivates them to buy? And then I talked about sales. Sales basically is the exchange of a product or commodity, a service, or delivery for money. Okay, so why
Mhm.
would somebody exchange? It's a transaction. There's always an exchange when it comes to sales. Why would somebody exchange their money for what it is that you're selling them? You've got to understand what motivates them as well. Um, and then you also have to think about marketing. How am I actually
Mhm.
going to to market with what it is that I'm selling them. Now we're going to do a quick test here. So there's these two, okay? There's that and there's two. What appeals to you and why? Which of these appealed to you and why?
This one and the other one. Interesting. Both are nice, actually. Which one's appealing to me?
Yeah, what emotion is going on for you right now?
So because I'm from the technology background, so this one resonates more with me, but doesn't have to be the same case for everybody. Yeah.
Exactly. Same for your customers or your clients or whoever it is that you're selling to. Presentation matters, marketing, colors, eyes. There is a psychology to all of those things. I'll come a bit more into it as well. We see there's different colors involved. Each of those elicited a specific kind of emotion that all leads to how or why somebody will buy from you, irrespective of your pricing. Now, there is the second test here. So I've got a gift for you. There's three gifts. So this is A, gift B, and gift C.
I'm gonna go with the three.
C.
No, I want the three of them.
You can have all three. I want you can choose one based on the one you feel has the most value, is the most valuable or
Well,
most
I would go with
expensive.
this one, the C.
C. Okay, so this is B. This is A. And you can
I will go with the C too.
You go with the C. Okay.
But I already got it. I already got it.
Okay.
I'll go with the C.
Why did you choose C?
Because it looks like something that may have a jewelry, and that may infinitely be much more expensive than all the bigger ones. So this one looks like something that comes from a gold store or something. So I'll probably choose that.
You choose that. Okay, thank you.
This one looks like a book.
Okay. And Ruada, why did you choose
So
C?
I like the color red. I really like it. So for me, it appeals more to me, color red. And definitely as Yanka said, it looks like a kind of a diamond ring or something really specific and expensive, which is we ladies love. So yeah.
Okay, so now that brings us to what I shared previously. You haven't seen what is in there. All I said was I have a gift for you.
Yeah.
Tell me which one you love, and all that you've said is being based on your perception of value, look, feel, right? So irrespective of how these three gifts may be priced, you're already making a choice based on factors that price hasn't come in yet. Right, price hasn't come in yet. So although we have to understand and price our products and services, ultimately someone will buy based on the perceived value. Value that they perceive is what will motivate them to complete that transaction, that exchange. That's why you have to understand who you're selling to. You have to understand why the sales. You now also have to understand the marketing. Like I shared at the beginning, there's the customer psychology, the sales psychology, marketing psychology, right? So again, you always have to think that for yourself as you're pricing your products and services. It ultimately is, what is the value that my customer or my client is perceiving? If you get that right, your pricing will always be right. If you don't get that right, you'd always be copying or looking at or, competitors or whatever it is and pricing in a way that really doesn't meet the value exchange. It creates an imbalance, right? So how are we going to meet these perceptions? The font, the colors, the size, the digit, the quantity, the position, spatial distancing, all those three gifts had all of these things. and all of it affected whether you loved it or didn't like the product. So I'm going to run through, and then you can write some notes as well if you would like. So first of all, the font that we use, whether something is big or something is small. If something is big, if you go on a sales page or landing page, whatever it is, and the pricing is very big, immediately as human beings, psychological, we're wired to think, oh, the price is so big. It's very expensive because it is big. Now, having said that, there is a time and a place where your price or the number, right, the font size being big makes a big difference. So colors, as you can see on this background, there is how many colors? 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. But how it's layered on the background, is that affecting how you're able to read what's going on? Is it making it like, oh gosh, there's a lot going on there? Or not?
Oh, I think it's because it's the same size, the same question mark. I think it's not too much crowded, I would say.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
I think it looks a bit busy, and I'm just trying to concentrate on what I am really, really supposed to understand.
Yeah.
So the core message is not jumping at me. I'm having to deal with too much information at the same time. And I just say, you know what, let me give up. If they want me to know when they want me to know something, they will show me what they want me to know.
Exactly.
Because I'm busy. I want the information to jump at me as quickly as possible. So this one, I've just got so much to digest.
Thank you. And so thank you. Brilliant. We're getting there. So there's the question mark in different boxes. Which color box is jumping out at you? There's 4 colors there. Which color?
The white one.
Exactly. White one. Okay. So when it comes to pricing, color matters. The color on your landing page or the color in your brochure matters. The lighter it is, the lighter it feels, and the more it jumps out at your customer or whoever it is looking at your business, whether it's online, physical brochure, or however you present your pricing. So always think lighter colors. The more white, the better. Okay. Now, in terms
The
of
white, the better. Okay, cool.
yeah, the more lighter it is. Also, when you're choosing colors, whoever is developing, for example, your website should be able to, even if it's yellow, they should be able to give you a variation of yellow that is easy for web, because you don't know whether somebody wears glasses or not. So you don't just put any yellow. It has to be yellow that is, what do you call it, ideal for web, for reading. Okay, but you want lighter colors. The darker colors makes everything feel heavy, okay. So you can go in your cupboard and find some biscuits or some chocolate. Look at how they write the name on the biscuit. Let's say Toblerone, which is my favorite, or Snickers, and look in your cupboard, because that's the easiest way to kind of like digest this. Is go through your cupboard. What's in there? How have they written the names on it? Yeah. And then look at, okay, fine. That makes me feel this way, or that makes me feel that way. Okay. So the lighter colors, the better. The more whites, the better. In terms of quantity, I think Yinka already mentioned about, because we've got 4 different things on there. It's a lot harder to to take her attention span. She's busy. So I'm taking some of the words you put, you mentioned, Yinka. This, we're all very busy. So if you go to a landing page and there's 4 or 5 different prices, it's like we try to group them. It's like, okay, I've got to look at that one, then 5, and I still have to hold that memory of what was that first price, second price. So normally 3 quantities, 3 pricing is the best way to price your product. You have a lower price, you have your ideal price, and you have your premium price, because psychologically that helps the person to be able to maintain you maintain their attention span in terms of there's only three things they're comparing. If you really need to, you can add the fourth, but it's not really recommended or advisable. Always have three prices. If you think about when you go to the cinema and the popcorn, they have three prices. They have small, they have medium, and they have large. And usually it's not a big difference between the medium and the large. And what do we often do? We always buy the large. Okay. So three pricing is always ideal and advisable. So we talked about fonts, we talked about colors, sizes. So sizes, if your pricing is very,
I think you're not changing the slides, yeah? Are you changing the slide?
No. I'm going through this so that you can take your own notes, because 20 minutes is not enough to cover everything. So I'm giving us enough so that we can now go away and be able to build. Does that make sense? So if you have the foundation of the structure, you can then be able to go back maybe on your own website or your business assets and then review from there. Sizes, if your price on your price page is very big, immediately, psychologically, whoever's looking at it feels that's a big price. That's a very expensive price. Where it matters is when you're buying
Sorry, I don't know what the timer is all about.
I set myself a timer.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, please.
I set myself a timer to get to this page. Okay. So that I'm disciplined. So sizes on a landing page or sales page where they had let's say previously was £100 and they've crossed it and they put in now, let's say it's £25 and the £25 is bigger and the £100 is smaller. Psychologically, your mind says, oh, now that is a big bargain. So those are the conditions and circumstances where having your price, the actual numbers, bigger is effective. But only do that if it's legitimate. As in legitimately, it was 100. Now you're putting it at 25 or whatever it is. Normally you'd find that in fashion or beauty products where, where they have different seasons. And so they have to get rid of the old stock and then be able to bring in new stock. But if you're not doing like getting rid of old stock, looking at John Maxwell, we don't usually have physical products. We have physical products, it might be maybe your books, but you're not selling the old copies of the book in order to buy new copies. So possibly it doesn't maybe count so much, but it's important if we're thinking about the psychology of pricing, it's important to mention it that ideally your prices should be decent size font rather than a very big font. Now, digits. If you think about, let's say, 49 pounds and 36 pence or whatever it is, people look at it, 49 pounds, 36 pence, okay, you can round it up to 50, for example, right? So the number of digits you have, 49 pounds and 37 pence means you've got 4 digits. It goes 349.36. So you've got 4 digits there. It makes it very busy. Okay, so like we've got here, it makes it very, very busy for your customers or clients, whatever it is, to focus. So you ideally want 2 digits. If you're selling a 3-digit product, you can put a comma or you can just write it all together if you want. I've already talked about quantity. Have only 3 pricing rather than more than 3. Your entry point, your ideal point, and your premium price. That's it. Positioning, because most of us are at digital position, where do you put it on your website? Do you put it at the top? Do you put it at the bottom? This is the price itself. Now, again, look in your kitchen cupboard and look at your biscuits or things that have price it printed on it. Coca-Cola normally have that sometimes. Ideally, or the best position is at the top. So the price is at the top. and then the description of whatever it is you're selling at the bottom, rather than what it is, let's say the picture of the cookie at the top and then the pricing at the bottom, because it makes it feel heavy. So positioning, it always has to be at the top. Spatial distancing. Again, think of your landing page and the 3 pricing and spaces in between, right? If we go back to the gifts that I shared earlier on, okay, there's a lot of space around this gift. If you can see, if you go to gift B, it fills up the whole thing. Now, if we go to gift C, the gift is set, but the hand, the person behind it fills the rest of the space. And that helps to create that, oh, I love that. I perceive that would be, again, the size matters as well. Yes, size of the gift. Although gift B was far bigger because it filled the whole bit, but all of you went for gift C because you perceive might be jewelry, which has a higher value than the other. If you look at the size of C and the size of A, they're pretty not far off, right? So spatial distancing matters as far as when you're presenting prices, whether it's on a website or in a physical brochure. If you have the table, they need to be close together rather than gaps in between as well, because close together helps to, again, maintain the value of, okay, as your customers are looking at your entry point, your ideal price, and your premium pricing, put them together. But if you did like 25 and then 35 and 45, it doesn't really present big value. So you'd want to, if you're doing 25, you want to maybe 45 and then 100 or 99. Because if you're selling something premium, I think it's important that you actually offer something of premium value rather than just premium for the sake of it, because that wouldn't be integrity, right? If we're selling or selling things, we have to be integral as leaders. So if something is 99 or 1,000 or whatever it is, it really has to have that value and more. Okay, all of that adds to or brings us to the bit of buying psychology. As we looked at the colors previously, the question mark behind the previous slide, the different gifts, people would always buy based on what they perceive to be valuable. Okay. So if you're selling something, it can be £1. If somebody perceives as worth 5p, they're not going to pay £1 for it. Likewise, if you're selling something for 500 or 1,000 and they perceive the value as that, they will pay for it. So you've got to understand that no matter how much you price your products, it comes down to what is your buyer perceiving. So although we're talking about pricing, you can't just look at how am I going to price my services outside of who am I selling to, which is your customer psychology, your sales psychology, your marketing psychology, and the buying. All of those are factored. It's like you can't talk about just your head without talking about your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears. The whole body has different parts. It plays different roles, but without one, you can't quite function effectively. Yeah. So it's important to add that to it, that where you have to think about your pricing. I'll go through again for those that were not here earlier on. You have to think about your pricing. Before that, you've got to know, what's it going to cost me? How am I going to deliver it? How am I going to track it? Technology, what is the cost? All of these, you have to have numbers for all these 4 key components before you add your margin or your profit to it. So that's it. I don't have a lot of time to go through everything, but hopefully you get the recording. And then if you have any further questions, by all means, you can ask. That's it from me. Any questions, anything, any thoughts?
If I may say, Dr. Tina, thank you so much. It was very informative. Maybe a question: when sometimes I see the pricing in some place like 99.99 or like, for example, 9,999. So what does that mean? I mean, what's behind it?
Again, it depends on what product it is, who are the customers. Normally, you have to understand your customer behavior, to then be able to, for me to then be able to answer that effectively. It may well be, I would hope that they have all their numbers. And sometimes as well, there is that perception that if something is 0.99 is not the whole. So let's say 49.99 is not £50.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what they're going by, as in it really costs £50, but we don't want to put £50, so we'll put it 49.99.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So any other questions
Thank
or
you.
yeah.
Thank you very much, Tina. That was quite useful, and one can really reflect on even the entire pricing system and the structure one has at the moment. You know, for some of us, we're not exactly sure how to price. You don't want to overprice, you don't want to underprice, and you're caught in between. But it's clear that one must develop a structure around it now and think of it in very, very serious and practical terms. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Is it Deborah? No,
Yinka.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's it.
Hi,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Are there any books or resources for additional reading on this, please?
Yes, you can. Amazon would have a plethora of it. My background is psychology, so I'm a qualified psychologist. My first degree was educational psychology. I studied business psychology, clinical psychology. So that's my educational background is psychology. I understand how people behave normally, generally, and then of course when it comes to business, my husband and I, as I said at the beginning, we've been running a bricks and mortar business for 24 years. In the healthcare space, and then I run my own, business as well, with Nations of Women. So I've been in business at least, 2.5 decades, in service, delivery, all of those things. So this has been developed over a number of years. We always have had coaches as well to make sure that we are also being, poured in to ensure that what we're doing is right. As far as I think I shared at the very beginning, before you think about, okay, how am I going to price my business? I have to understand, is it just myself involved in the delivery, or do I have staff, or do I have, let's say, freelancers, right? If you have staff, you have freelancers, what is the cost? So how much am I going to pay them in order for them to do, let's say, develop even a graphics? I go to Fiverr or whatever it is. How much is it going to cost me? You have to have a cost for that. And then how am I going to deliver, what it is that I have to deliver, or distribution? Do I have to, let's say you have books, do I have to post it? How much does the envelope cost? How much does the stamp? You have to have numbers for all of those things. And then measurement. Okay, how am I going to be able to keep track of how many people asked me, or, tried to buy from me? How many times did they buy? You have to have a number for that. And then the final one is systems and technology. What system am I using to run my business? So we're on Zoom. It costs you to have Zoom. You may have Dropbox. You may have websites. You may have hosting. You have to have pricing for all of those things, because all of that costs money. So if let's say I have Zoom, how much does it cost me for the year? You have your security, like go through your bank statement is probably a first place to look at it. What does it actually cost you on a monthly basis to run your business? And if you're a speaker, how often are you speaking? How much are you speaking every month? Is it consistent? What is that? And then you're able to divide that, so actually for me to go and speak, let's say you speak once every quarter, whatever it is, you get, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000, but it costs you, I don't know, let's say 300 per month. to run your business, or 500 per month, that already is 1,500. So that one speaking that you've done in that one quarter at 2,000, 1,500 is your cost. So your actual real profit may have been 500. I don't know. Did you travel there? Right. So again, you might think you're being paid 2,000, but it's not actually 2,000 because there is cost involved. So those are the 4 key things you have to understand, first of all, in order to be able to price your product. But personally, I'm a woman of faith. So before I'm doing anything, it comes down to what is the purpose of what I'm doing? How is that? What role is that playing in the kingdom of God? And my pricing for some of what I do, I will actually ask God, what is the price for this? What am I supposed to charge people for? And there's some things that he would actually give me. This is how much you have to put to it before I even go through any of those things. So if you're a person of faith, that's something I would tell you, don't ever underestimate. Always have, you have to understand the numbers, the flow of money in your business numbers, what does it cost me? What does it make me? And et cetera, et cetera. And you have to have a line. It's like, okay, God, this is your line. You have to have a line. This is your line. So it's a lot more than we can unpack within this time. But it's my joyful place. I love numbers, whether it's corporate finance, personal finance. I love it. It's, I'm trying that. So perhaps it comes to me a lot more easier than to other people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tina. Thank everyone for coming in this evening. My name is Terry. Apologies, I came in some minutes before when it started. Thank you, Dr. Tina, for taking your time to go through that. Absolutely, pricing goes beyond. It's more psychological. It's a lot of, you have to do a lot of things, a lot of numbers planning and a lot of things to actually get the prices. And even sometimes you may even get the prices and you may will sometimes need to review the prices or adjust the prices or discount the prices depending on the circumstances. So it's a lot involved. And I just say that before you don't wait, you got to set the price and then go through the process and of course adjust as you go. So thank you again, Dr. Tina, for taking us through tonight's section. I don't know if the time is actually run out. We're supposed to have introduced the set. I don't know if we did that when we started, but it's too late right now. But I want to thank everyone for coming. I see we're 8, 9 at some point. Ayode, thank you for coming. Deborah, thank you for coming. Emmanuel Chuku, thank you for coming, and others who came through not quite shortly. Thank you so much for attending. Before I will ask again if we have 1 or 2 comments, maybe questions or comments. Next month we'll be hosting another section. I think the section is on, let me see if I can get that.
So maybe
it's going to be on DISC.
So maybe 1 point. Yeah. Maybe 1 point before we go, if you have time for a minute.
What did you say? I didn't get that.
No, 1 point if we have 1 minute time. Is that okay?
Yes.
So Dr. Tina,
I'm going to allow that.
I think it was very important to go through all
I just wanted
elements.
us to know. I didn't get that. What did you say?
I think there is some delay in the voice. So Dr. Tina, it was very, very informative. Thank you for sharing. I think one point I would like to highlight, absolutely taking in consideration all the elements of the pricing and the cost. I think that's very important. But probably one more important point is your buying client psychology, because I think the buying psychology also it plays a role. One of my clients last week, she was really kind of shocked because she lost 2 proposals with regular clients. One because she was too high and one because she was too cheap. And she was shocked, like, how come? And they said, well, this client, they said, you're too high, we could not afford. Other people said, you're too good, that we did not actually couldn't understand how you could put this low price for all these values. So I think understanding the client psychology, it's really important a point when you put the price, because you can't have like one price fits all, considering the clients, you know, understanding and psychology as well.
Yeah.
But the question is just a point, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true, because people buy for a number of reasons. It can be ego, it can be for like emotional, you know, reasons.
I think most of the time emotional, Dr. Tina, and they justify this logically. So they buy emotionally, they justify it logically.
Exactly. And I think also emotionally, but if you think about, okay, somebody has got cataracts in their eyes, they can do it here, they can fly to a different country, they can go to a different surgeon. Why is that? It's not always emotional, maybe car, maybe wedding dress, engagement ring, yes. But if you think about your eye health, it's more than emotional. It's, you know, care, right? It's quality. So yes, there is emotions attached to it, but am I making sense?
Absolutely.
I think that there was a research on a pizza company that was selling prices based on people's birthday. So let's say it's £30, you're born on the 15th, and they had 11% increase in sales, because people have that ego as, oh yeah, I can identify with that, right? If you think about Ferraris, where did you last see an advert for a Ferrari or a Porsche? Nope. Because they understand their customers to the T. So again, that's why I was talking about, irrespective of your pricing, you have to understand who is buying, why are they buying, but we don't have a lot of time to do that. So we run, just to add that, Nature's of Win, we run a business school for 90 days business school, because I believe that if you put a seed into the ground, irrespective of what tree, what plant it is, within 90 days it's taking root. It will have taken root. So we do, you know, have that available to be able to take your business, whether it is starting, whether you're looking at growing, whether you're looking at exiting. I have experience in startup, growth, and exit or scale ups as well. So I'd be more than happy to connect, and anyhow I can serve you, let me know.
Thank you so much.
So much, Dr. Tina, once again. I don't know if we have any other questions. We have just 5 minutes left for the section. Any comments, any contributions? Again, before we wrap up this section. I said the flowers going up already.
Yeah, I was like, how did you do that?
Yeah, how did you do that? Oh wow, I can see that again. That's beautiful, right?
It's a new it's a new Zoom. I have a Zoom, which is a workplace. Yeah, so it goes like when you click here, there's a lot of emotions. So yeah, emojis and emotions.
All right. Oh wow, that's it. Thank you for that already.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments, contributions? Oh, I see the yellow flowers coming up. So much flowers for Dr. Tina tonight.
Yeah.
So which of those colors will influence the pricing then? So you have the yellow, you have red. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week ahead.
You too.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Tina. God bless. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.